All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. You are at the Sixth College Internships in Dublin Global Seminar Information Session for summer 2026. I am the Global Seminars Coordinator for this program. My name is Caitlin Para. We're also joined by the faculty leader, Professor Joe Bigham, who will talk more about how the program runs and all of the specifics that you'll want to know. We are also joined by a recent 2025 program attorney, Kirsten Yen. Feel free to wave or say hello in the chat. And then we also have an AIFS Abroad internship program advisor here with us, Tessa, who will be working with you later on in the process to help you with your placement. As I mentioned, we are recording today's session, so you'll all receive the link to the recording within 1 to 2 weeks. It is not publicly accessible, so it's only going to be shared with the students who registered for today's session. And any questions you have will be included in the recording, but if you ask me to take it out, I definitely can. Okay, so I'm just going to go over some quick global seminar reminders, and then I'll pass it over to the professor to take it on from there. But just a quick reminder, please watch our general session. That'll go more in depth on how to apply for the global seminar, what the timeline looks like, the application process, financial aid and scholarship resources, etc. And that link was sent in that reminder email that just went out. In addition to that, please also review the cancellation policy and withdraw deadlines for our global seminars. I would say the main date to keep in mind is the March 1st withdrawal and application deadline. So basically, if you apply before March 1st and you decide to withdraw before March 1st, you'll only lose the $250 deposit. Anything after March 1st, you would be financially responsible for the full program fee. So just please mark March 1st on your calendar so you're aware of that deadline. And if your program is canceled for any reason, we do want to let you know that you wouldn't be charged and you would be refunded the full amount. So I wanted to go over the program fees for Dublin. We basically divided into 3 buckets. The first is the summer session tuition, which is about $2,500. And then the program fee is specific for your location. So for Dublin, it's going to be around $8,000. That'll be finalized on the website this week. And that'll include your housing for the 8 weeks, your on-site support, help with your internship placement, any activities that you go on while you're there with the group, classroom space, international insurance, as well as a transit pass. And then you'll also have the third bucket, which is any personal expenses. So this estimation can vary depending on your personal spending habits, but we usually estimate about $3,600 for this. And that'll be things like your plane tickets, your meals while you're there in Dublin, your passport if you need to get a passport. And if you need a visa or anything of that nature, you'll also want to budget for that as well. Something to note about meals, you will have space in your housing to meal prep, so you don't have to eat out every meal, and you can definitely make it more affordable to keep that personal expense bucket lower. Speaking of fees and funding and how to afford the program, again, we go into this more in the general session, but I did want to highlight that we just released a global seminar financial aid specific session. That recording is posted on our Financial Aid for Global Seminars students page. So if you are planning to use financial aid, I highly recommend reviewing this YouTube video. It's led by our study abroad financial aid officer, Eduardo. So he'll go through the ins and outs of what you need to know before applying. And we will open our scholarship application for all of our programs in December. So keep that date in mind and we'll notify you all as well. Another quick reminder, so our application deadline is March 1st or until the program fills. The applications are now open. You do have 2 applications for this program. So one is the Tritons Abroad application, as you know. The separate will be the AIFS Abroad application. And the link to the AIFS Abroad application can be found in the Tritons Abroad application. So it'll give you direct instructions on how to do that. So that'll help with the internship placement piece. We also wanted to remind you that if you do not have your transcript or your passport or your health clearance yet, you can still apply to the program. Essentially, you'll be put into a conditional approval status, and we can accept placeholders for these items for now. So, for example, if you don't have your transcript yet, just upload your courses from Triton Link that you're currently enrolled in. If you don't have your passport yet, upload a confirmation that you've scheduled your passport appointment. And if you don't have your health clearance yet, just upload a confirmation that you have scheduled your health clearance appointment or you're on a wait list with Student Health. Any of that will be fine for now, and then you can update it once you complete that step. Lastly, I just wanted to go over the program specifics. So this is a special summer session. The dates are Saturday, June 27th, 2026. That's when you'll arrive. And then you'll depart on Saturday, August 22nd, 2026. And this is a 20 student maximum, so it is a much smaller group than some of our other global seminars because of the internship component. So we do like to keep it small. So keep that in mind when you're applying. This one tends to fill up a little bit quicker because there's a smaller group for this program. Here's just a screenshot. I wanted to show you what the AIFS Abroad application looks like. So when you're in Tritons Abroad, you'll see that second step that says partner application, and it'll provide the direct link there where you can complete that step as well. Okay, I know that was information overload, but if you have any questions about any of that, you can always contact us via the Virtual Advising Center, including your program of interest. And then we also offer drop-in advising, so Zoom sessions Monday and Thursday, 1 to 3 p.m., as well as Fridays from 10 to 11:30 a.m. And then if you're interested in learning more about financial aid or you have questions about your aid, please contact the Study Abroad Financial Aid Advisor. They are available for drop-in advising on Fridays from 10 to 11:30 a.m. And then you can also send them questions via the UC San Diego Services and Support portal on the financial aid website. So before I pass it over to the professor, does anyone have questions about the logistical aspects of the application or the program fees or anything of that nature? Okay, and if you think of any later on, feel free to message me directly in the chat, or we can talk about them during the Q&A portion at the end. All right, I will pass it over to Professor Bigham to talk more about the Dublin Internship Program.
Cool. Thank you so much, Caitlin. Howdy. Nice to meet you all virtually in some sort of way. I'm curious, for especially the 6 college students, if we've ever, show of hands, have we worked together before in Cat 1, 2, or 3? No. Okay, easy enough. Well, I just bring that up because, oh, cool, 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 cool. Awesome, Noelia. So yeah, I'm, a lecturer for the CAT program. I've been a part of the CAT program for 14 years, for a long time. And I do the 1, 2, 3 opening sequence, core sequence, and then I've taught Cat 125 for a long time. And as of this past summer, it was my first experience leading this Dublin internship. And I have to say, out of the 14 years that I've been working for the CAT program, it really is one of the most exciting things that I've been a part of, just in terms of the scope, the opportunities that are available to you, just the whole experience of it, I think is really outstanding. And hopefully get Kirsten to kind of speak to her experiences with that. But just to kind of give you a quick overview about the scholarly side of it, or the school side of this whole thing, right? It's composed of 2 classes, Cat 125 and Cat 124. Now, for all the 6 college students, these are requirements. You'll be able to fill requirements. 125 is a requirement regardless. And then 124 fulfills the experiential learning requirement. I think I saw in the chat we have 1 or 2 folks who are 7th college, and I can't remember what the other one was, but or Marshall, awesome, music major. So I would say I hope and I think it could be possible for either 124 or 125 if it's possible for those to fulfill requirements. I think that would be awesome, and something for you to discuss with your advisors. But for 6 college students, it knocks out 2 of your requirements, which I think is good. It's super helpful. High impact as a 7th. Awesome. Thank you, Tallulah. Um, so yeah, what are these 2 classes? 125 the 125 course, I like to call it, it's a composition course. I don't mean music composition, I mean media composition. And so we think about the ways in which we present ourselves in professional and public contexts. Uh, whether we're doing that through written means or whether we're doing that through some sort of multimodal experience, like a presentation like this, or recorded presentations with slides, thinking about how images work as visual rhetoric as a way of making a point as well. And so that's kind of the big overview of what the class is about. Thinking and developing the skills you need to communicate through a variety of means is really what we're aiming to do. And I always say that, the goal of the class is not to just get a particular grade, but it's really to supply you with the skills you will need as a professional. It's meant to supply you with the skills you need to develop your own professional materials like resumes, CVs, and personal statements about yourself. So along those lines, there are 2 major assignments that you'll work on. One is going to be a written statement assignment. The other one is going to be a recorded presentation you'll do for this class. I'll get into those details down the road at a later meeting. But just so you know how that part of the 125 works, it's all going to be asynchronous videos. I will record lecture videos and deploy those at the beginning of every week on a Monday of every week. There'll be a handful of discussion posts that you'll respond to, and the major assignments that you'll work through a process of brainstorming, drafting, revising, and then, submitting a completed version. And so that's Cat 125. It's the same, really, in a lot of ways as Cat 125 is here on campus, whether you do it in person or remotely. Um, the other side of this is Cat 124, and this is the experiential learning requirement of culture, art, and technology at Sixth College. And really, what I want 124 to be is an opportunity. We meet actually via Zoom about once a week on Fridays to discuss your experiences, to discuss your internship experiences, and to think about those professional skills that you're developing over time. Sometimes those professional skills are about just kind of observing the workspace around you, observing the culture of whatever your internship might be. It might be thinking about the cultural differences, if you will, between working in Ireland versus in the United States. I know that some students kind of experienced a little bit of, I don't know if I would say culture shock, but there was a different method, a different attitude that they experienced within their internships, and learning to adapt to that, learning to work with that. And so one side is very much they're both professional work, but one is kind of the work that you do on your own, developing communication materials. The other one is about thinking about, well, what was your experience this week in your internship, and sharing that with the other people in your group. Now, a long time ago, these 2 classes they used to go hand in hand. You had to take 124 at the same time you took 125. Um, and in some ways, I really appreciate the global seminar being structured in this way again. It's not the case anymore, but the global seminar kind of goes back to that original idea in which you are thinking about your experiences, we're sharing them, we're discussing them, but then also you're kind of turning back to your own work, you're turning back to your own materials that you're developing and finding a way of communicating about that. And I think one of the most important aspects of that is really kind of discovering your own voice as a writer, discovering your own voice in terms of presenting and talking to other people. Um, so when you finish not only this whole Dublin internship experience, but these classes, you're able to go into the public workforce or to other kind of public forums, public arenas, and be able to really feel confident in the way that you're communicating to other people. So that is the kind of like quick 10-minute overview. Should I pass it on to Kirsten? Kirsten, did you want to add anything to that? I mean, so Kirsten and I, we worked together this past summer. She's amazing, and I think I'm so excited to have her here to talk about her experiences as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure which part you would want me to touch on. I can say a little bit about the academics, because this was a concern that came up for a lot of people I know in my cohort. A lot of people were concerned, how am I going to kind of juggle an internship as well as all my coursework, which is a valid concern. What I will say about that is, I think in general, especially with a lot of the global seminars programs, they tend to be very flexible, and the professors kind of know that you're like, you're abroad, you want to explore, you want to, go out and do things. Um, so they will be very, very flexible. And I know Professor Bigham is very flexible about like certain deadlines, or if we need to change times for things, if everybody's doing something. Um, so yeah, in general, it's the course load is pretty manageable. You can also talk to your supervisor. I'm sure they will be plenty happy to work with you in managing like your stress or your work. Yeah, so I will say, do be careful, because if you will be traveling a lot, it does get exhausting. I did make the mistake of accidentally planning all of my trips in the last 4 weeks. So I was essentially flying out on Thursday night. So essentially you get 4-day work weeks. So I was traveling either Thursday night or Friday morning, flying back on Saturday evening, and then doing that repeatedly for about 4 weeks. So it does get exhausting. But yeah, it in general, if you do plan things out well, it's manageable, and I think it would be a good experience. Something to take advantage of, definitely. I'm not sure if there's questions about like specifically what was going on in Ireland, but yeah.
Well, and just to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, Kirsten. So yeah, we do try to schedule the internships so you're working Monday through Thursday. You have Friday off, and that's when we have our synchronous meeting. And hopefully that gives you, space and time to really kind of reflect on your experiences and also to explore. I mean, I think if there's anything that's really kind of wonderful about this kind of it's really so many different facets to this thing, right? There's the travel aspect of it, and not just Ireland, but I mean, really, so much of Europe is available to you. Um, but that relative to your professional work, right? Whether it's research work, whether it's marketing work, whatever, we've have all types of interests, all types of internships, or a lot of different types of internships, I should say, um, and then knocking out a couple classes too. I mean, that's the way that I see it, right? Getting some of that coursework done as well. And so it might feel like a lot, but I know I'm always trying to keep track of where you're at and making sure that you're in a good place mentally with all this work. I know that the AIFS team also too, that they do that I think they do an exceptional job of giving you opportunities to both do important professional work, but then also explore.
I want to add quickly, because that reminded me. Yeah, the AIFS staff on on-site staff, they're great. If it's still Greta and Peter, they're amazing. If you get the chance to talk to them about, I don't know, literally anything, they're great people. So yeah, definitely do that.
It's a good point. The Global Seminar Program is a very supportive program model out of all of our study abroad options because you have that on-site support 24/7. You have the virtual support of your professor, and then you also have like the whole team helping you before you go with the pre-departure. So every step of the way, we try to help you through that process.
Thanks for asking Tallulah about the grading. And she asked, is this contract grading or something similar to that? I wouldn't say, I don't necessarily use a contract grading method, but we tried, just as a whole in the CAT program, we tried to design the composition process, right? To really think about writing these things as a process, and to do it in such a way that, you're always thinking about revision, right? That first moment of doing the assignment is just the first step out of many. And so along those lines, I would say that by the time you get to the end of any particular project, you're usually in a pretty good place grade-wise. Or I don't know if I should say this, you have to really work to fail to do badly in any of these things. Like you have to be motivated to do poorly. So I'm guessing if you're motivated to travel to Ireland to do all this, you'll come out pretty great. I don't know. You can close your ears, Kirsten. I honestly think that the Dublin internship students were some of my best students by far, right? All really just attentive to detail and getting their work done, and just super smart and engaging people. So. Any other questions about the academics in particular? I will say also too, while we're waiting on that, as another huge part of the program are some of the cultural excursions that you get to do. The Cliffs of Moher, I can't remember all the specific ones, but Ireland is a great country in the sense that it's super easy to travel around, super easy to get from place to place. And I used to actually, I'm a musician myself. I didn't say that earlier. I came from the music department here at UCSD, and so I was super stoked to go over to Ireland, as I had once played before in a Celtic music group. And so getting to experience that again, there's a whole music excursion that will happen. Getting to explore all of this kind of, the seriously rich and amazing culture of Ireland, such a deep and powerful history, I would say. So that's another great part as well. It is not the one. Well, so I believe all of the study abroad classes that are offered through global seminars, those are all 124s. So those will all count, right? So if you are considering any of the global seminars programs in particular, I know those will count towards the 124. I'm not 100% sure on things outside of global seminars, so I would need to check on that.
Yeah, Caitlin, I recommend checking with your advisor if you have other programs of interest. I just know that Sixth College encourages students to do a Sixth College Global Seminar specifically. So we have this one, and then we also have one in Provence, France. So those would be the two that they think works better for Sixth College students specifically, but double check with your advisors.
I can actually answer this because I did Berlin last year and that counted for 124. So they do count, but yeah, if you want a specific class for 124, this will cover that specifically. And also, just to mention, the three included excursions are Cliffs of Moher, Belfast, which I think you visit the Titanic Museum. I didn't actually go to that one, so I'm not actually sure. But we did go to Belfast after and go to Giant's Causeway, so recommend that. And the third is just a pub crawl, kind of near Temple Bar, I think.
Any other questions about, in particular, the academic part of it, the 124, 125 aspect, or I guess more broadly, even the internships as well?
Delulu, I see your question about flights. So typically we average about 2,300 for flights round trip for students, but that's for all programs. So it just really depends on what you can find. We try to encourage you to have to make sure you get a refundable flight if possible. But to Dublin directly, Dublin is relatively more affordable to get to than other cities in Europe just because it's a larger city, more international. And then once you get to Dublin, the flights are very cheap to travel throughout Europe. And then there's also a great train system that you can take to get to other cities as well. So there's a lot of options. Thanks, Tessa. Yes.
Yes, for flying around Europe, I would recommend buying them slightly earlier because I did take a trip to Finland. And I bought that ticket like a week before, and it was getting up there. I think maybe $500, $600 round trip. So yeah, do consider that.
I see a question about how the assignment of internships works. Tessa, would you be able to touch a little bit on that?
Yeah, so I work with our overseas team. So Peter and Greta, who you've heard a little bit about, they are amazing. We work together with your internship placements. So when you first enroll in the program, we'll meet for a one-on-one call. We'll kind of go through what the program details look like for the internship side specifically. During that call, we'll go over your two career fields. Actually, this past year, I came to campus and we did this call in person. So hopefully we can do that again. And we go through like your career interests, how it relates to your academics or your area of study. I make sure all of that gets communicated back to our overseas team as they work on your internship placements. So you are essentially accepted and approved into the program for the internship portion, so that partner application, based off of those two career fields or placement areas. That's where your internship will lie in, and that'll be like the primary work. So the internship tasks or projects that you'd be doing for the large majority of your internship. Just like with any internship, there's going to be perhaps some more administrative tasks that may not be as directly related to those placement areas, but I tell all of my interns that's just part of being a working adult, is having some of those admin tasks on top of your general job duties and things related to those areas. And then our placement team, they will essentially create like a candidate profile for you. They do the job search on your behalf, essentially. And so they present out that candidate profile. And then once we have an employer that's looking to meet with you for an interview, we'll work together to get that arranged. And you just go through the interview process. 9 times out of 10, that first interview does result in a successful internship offer. So overall, we try to make it as easy and as seamless as possible for you, just knowing how stressful getting an internship in the US is, let alone doing it in another country. So that's where the AIFS Abroad team steps in, and we're with you pretty much every step of the way as you are going through that internship process.
Thanks, Tessa. We had a follow-up question about kind of the process after they submit their AIFS application. Does AIFS reach out to them, or do they have tasks to complete in their portal? What does that look like?
Yeah, so you are kind of working in two different systems. You do still need to do all of your pre-departure stuff with Triton Abroad, and then you have your own to-do list with AIFS Abroad. That to-do list on the internship side of things is a bit more condensed. So it is manageable. Kirsten and the rest of the summer cohort from last year did it without issue. It's really a lot of just the basic pre-departure info that both UCSD and AIFS Abroad need for us to safely and successfully send students overseas, is really what that comes down to. But it's all online. Don't need to worry about it too much. Again, you've got access to both your advisors at UCSD and with us at AIFS if you do need any assistance or get stuck on any parts of the pre-departure or task submission side of things.
Awesome. Thanks, Tessa.
Yeah.
Kirsten, did you want to add anything about that process as well from like a student perspective?
Yeah, it's not difficult. It's relatively simple. It's a bit of reading. It's like, oh, you got to basically be aware of a lot of stuff. And honestly, I don't even remember that many written components. I think it's like resume and then maybe a written statement or something like that. So it's really, really simple.
Yeah, primarily for your internship side of things, it's your professional documents that are what we tend to spend the most time on. So making sure that your resume is good to go for presentations, same thing with the cover letter. Depending on your career fields or placement areas, some may require some like writing samples or a portfolio, just depending on what those areas are. So some that require a heavy written communication aspect may require like a couple writing samples, which can just be papers that you've written for a class, so it's not too complicated.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off that conversation. So this past summer, I spent the first week actually meeting everybody in person in Dublin and had a chance to kind of visit a lot of the internships. And the range of internships is really impressive. Some of them, I mean, we're talking super fancy high-end law firms where, just the building itself was amazing and very uh dialed in professional environment, all the way to very laid back, very laid back kind of work environments where, you're just kind of like working around a kitchen table. There's a lot of different type of experiences in addition to a whole bunch of different types of fields. So we had some people doing structural engineering. We had people doing work in what was it? AI-based audio processing, which I thought was amazing. What else? Some lab work, some work that was largely remote, but still well within the field of the student. Um, I would also say too, that, as with any internship, not just global seminars, but it's, approaching it with a certain openness to the experience. You don't know what you don't know. And so much of what we talk about in 124 is the kind of, realization of, oh, what's really happening here? What do I need to do? How can I adjust? Or how can I make this working environment click for me better? Those kinds of things. And so, you know, I think as long as you have, as long as you have a general sense of the direction you want to head in, I think, I don't know if it's going to be Peter again who lines them up, but I think everybody really does kind of get slotted into a situation that serves them well.
That reminded me as well, if you're interested in a STEM related internship, we highly recommend you apply sooner rather than later, ideally by February 15th, because those placements are a little bit more competitive and more limited, so they can, kind of reserve those spots if they know you're interested in that early on.
Yeah, I saw someone interested in computer science. That's a super competitive one, so would highly encourage you to get that in sooner rather than later.
Any other questions from a student experience perspective, from Kirsten's perspective, or about academics for the professor, about the internship process? Tessa's here. Or I can help answer any questions about the trans abroad logistical pieces as well. Anyone already applied yet? You can thumbs up or say in the chat. Awesome. Okay, well, does anyone have any final remarks before we close out today's session? Kirsten?
I can leave my contact info if anyone
Yes. Oh, yes,
would
that was
like to.
important.
Yes, I can leave my email.
Yes.
In case anybody wants to contact me about just like any questions generally. Yeah, feel free to email me. If I can't answer that, I will probably pass it on to either one of the three here. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Kirsten's a great resource if you have questions about the student perspective of how the program works.
There's
Awesome.
my
And then, yes.
Yeah, I posted my email address. Feel free to reach out to me. This particular quarter, I'm on campus Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and am certainly down to meet in person. or we could, arrange another time. Otherwise, not just to talk about the academic side of it, but what I think is the cultural aspect of it, and really that kind of experience beyond the grades.
All right. If anyone doesn't have any more questions, we'll end a little bit early today. I wanted to thank you all for spending your lunch break with us and learning more about this program. And we hope to receive your application soon. Thanks, everyone.